So next we have something very interesting coming up again. Now that performances are done, we will move on to our next lesson, learning, that is law in technology. We have with us Justice Sri Punugoti Naveen Rao, who was born in an agricultural family in Karimnagar district. He completed his graduation from Nizam College, Hyderabad, and a law degree from University of Delhi in the year 1986. He enrolled as advocate in the year 1986 and then joined the office of late Sri Y. Suryanarayana, senior advocate. He assisted him in several cases on important issues in service law, many of which are reported in leading journals. He was government pleader for services, Andhra Pradesh Administrative Tribunal from July 97 to December 2000. He was special counsel to Government of Andhra Pradesh in the Central Administrative Tribunal, Hyderabad bench, in All India Service Matters from March 97 to April 99. He served as legal advisor and a counsel to Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, that is the IRDA. Justice P. Naveen Rao was appointed as Judge, High Court of AP in April 2013. A man of vision, he is instrumental in ushering IT revolution in the High Court, bringing in transparency into the legal system, such as first paperless court, that is the e-court, ongoing case hearing status on mobile, and many such initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the stage P. Justice Naveen Rao.
You're not feeling sleepy, and I don't make you sleep. I'm told you are given a very good lunch, so hope you are still awake and listen to me. And I was just telling the organizers that the name suits me very well because I'm alien to this. I'm not a techno-savvy, I'm not a technical person. I'm a law graduate into the adjudication process. I'm here only to share with you the future that is embracing the technology and the future that requires your help or your endeavor to stretch into the legal field also. That my endeavor to tell you in the next few minutes is to how the technology is being used or that can be used even more. Now, when I started practicing in the year 1986. I used to carry loads of bag of files to the court, books which can be referred in the court, carrying on my scooter, and bring them back home. In the good old days, during British time, in fact, everything is written on paper. The pleadings are written on paper. The judgments are written on paper. Later on, when the type machine is introduced, at least some kind of a job is saved. I also share an experience of spending about at least 2 to 3 hours to draft an affidavit, even when it is to be typed on a type machine. Because once it is typed, it cannot be corrected. So the draft version, even written version, has to be edited and corrected, and then only the typing man would undertake the job of typing. Later came the computers, the basic computers which were available. So the basic work of what the typewriter was doing was being used for this purpose, but you have that editing option, and then if the version is not correctly come up, at least you can have a printed version, again take the printout and then so on. We used to use mostly dot matrix printers. Now more advanced printers have come. From there, now the biggest concern of everybody who had at least some kind of an experience on the legal side or the litigation process would know that there are mounting areas in the courts. You must have read articles, comments, discussion in the print media, electronic media also, that huge pendency, and then it takes years together, sometimes even decades for the adjudication of cases. You must have heard about more popular cases being taken out for a very long time. Adjudication is not taking up. What is the problem on the judicial side? I'll just project it for you. That the judge ratio in India as compared to anywhere in the world is far, far less. That we have 17 as compared to developed countries 50 or 37 per thousand. The cases that are pending in India are 3 crores 50 lakhs, and a rough estimation of disposal with the present strength, it can take at least 100 years if we work without even spending sleepless nights. So that's the stage we are. So we are trying to work out and do something for expediting the disposal. Then the common saying is justice delayed is justice denied. True. But we want to utilize the technology at least to speed up the process of adjudication. Like if you go back to the previous slide, we have now introduced several measures in using the technology on various aspects concerning adjudication process. Now this slide would demonstrate that when I joined my profession, the left side photograph would show that we used to sit in the library, search the books and books to find out a particular case which suits me, or the precedent decision rendered to suit me and to do in a particular case. Now all this is saved into a small minuscule computers. In fact, online web search is now available. Even through the mobile phones, smartphones, you can sit wherever you are and search the precedent decisions, and then you do the legal research work wherever you are. Now, if you look at the left side photograph, this is how even now many of the court complexes, the files are put like this, or even more worse. The judiciary lacks basic infrastructure, and then the searching for files, it takes months together to locate a particular file, because the space is a big constraint, huge pileup of cases, because large number of cases are pending. We are now taking up the issue of digitizing the existing files, case files which are pending, case files which are disposed of already. This may be interesting to you also in the sense that digitization requires 3 crore 50 lakhs files pending, 3 crores 50 lakhs converted into per case. If you take average of 50 pages, legal size pages, it would be running into further crores. This is the cases which are pending. The digitization also requires digitizing the records which are already disposed of, because those records are maintained forever. The court of record, therefore, whenever you want a particular case decided earlier, you may apply and the copies have to be supplied. So the pending disposed cases also digitized, which should be running into more than 100 crores. So the digitization of the court records is an important aspect which can interest the technical persons like you, engineering students. We have now taken up the digitization in our High Court. We have about 3.5 lakh cases pending. We have done about 50% of the digitization of the pending cases, and the digitization process is going on. We have got a lot of problems in digitizing or the infrastructure facilities, or the persons who can effectively take up digitization are not available. Only very few companies are taking up the job. So we have very limited option of choosing a right person to undertake the job of digitization. Then the question of filing of cases. Presently, the cases have to be filed in a physical form. The persons have to come to court, go to his advocate's office, sign, and then the advocate on his behalf files cases in the court in physical form. Now the next step we have taken up, many courts have implemented, but the process is going on for the entire country to come into this. It may take about another 5 years or 6 years. This, what it means is that wherever you are, you need not come to court, or you need not even directly consult your lawyer. Wherever you are in the world, you can simply file a case through the online mechanism, pay the requisite court fee or whatever the process fee required online. For this also, a lot of technological support is required. Technocrats can help in improving the process of filing of cases in the courts. This modern technology can help in review of documents and legal research, helps to perform due diligence, contract review and management, predict legal outcomes, which I will be dealing with later, electronic billing, and generations of summons. We have already introduced all the courts have websites. On the websites, all the information, what is going on in the courts is available. We have also launched the digital version of the court proceedings. Wherever you are, even if you have now for mobile phones, you can log in to the website and see what case is being taken up in a court, how many cases are taken up today, at the end of the day, how many cases are taken up and over. We have a mobile version, mobile applications are available. Through the mobile application, you can process the court working. This mobile application system can be improved by a better technical support by applying the new modern technology, including improvement of the web applications, websites, so that it's easy, user-friendly for the ordinary people also who are not conversant with technology. I've just delved into the future of technology in litigation. Can I request to play that video?
Todd's an exceptional lawyer with tons of clients. Todd doesn't understand artificial intelligence and probably thinks machines could take over the world. But in an ever-changing legal market, he knows that he's got to remain competitive. But Todd's stuck in the mundane and repetitive task of legal research that's weighing him down with unbillable hours and hardly any time to focus his time on what's most important, his clients. So Todd turned a new leaf and put his trust in artificial intelligence with Ross, his own personal artificially intelligent researcher. Ross has access to a vast legal database that effortlessly reads through and finds numerous answers for any legal question. You can ask Ross questions in natural language, the same way you would any other lawyer. Ross runs in the cloud, can be set up in seconds, and literally takes just minutes to master. All you need is an internet connection. No more wasted time on training sessions and lessons. Ross gives Todd more time to focus on his clients, which has definitely changed Todd's opinion about artificial intelligence. So join Todd and hire Ross today. Purchase a subscription at rossintelligence.com. Let Ross help you accomplish more than you ever thought humanly possible.
Now this video was played only to demonstrate how the technology is helping. As I was briefly indicating how the technology is progressed over a period of time and is now penetrated into the legal system. Now this application was developed in the United States and in being used by many companies, law firms in the United States. Whatever a group of advocates were doing in helping their clients has been done by this online application. They call it as a robo, I named it as ROS, but it's nothing but an online application. Similarly, there is one innovative young person like you started an application called Do Not Pay Chatbot. He was concerned about the parking charges levied in UK. High charges were levied and unreasonably the parking charges are levied even though the person has not committed any violation of the parking. Unlike in India, we hardly pay the parking fee here. This is compulsory. Unless you pay the parking fee, you will be penalized very heavily. So he found that the persons who are suffering by unnecessarily paying parking fee even though he has not committed any violation, or he did not spend the amount, park the car at a particular place for a longer time, only for a limited period, but the charge was levied for a longer time. So he started an online application in a very small way. It became so successful that now it caters to at least, on an average per day, I think it caters to at least 1,000 people in UK. And it has expanded to deal with all other aspects. It is so simplified that you don't need to go to any person, you don't need to go to any office at all. You just have to lodge whatever has happened onto the website, and then he will take care and then attend to the case. He will, on your behalf, he will do on all the processing and then prosecute and see that your amount is refunded. This is now expanded into other countries also. From UK, it is now being spread to United States, and then he's also expanding the platform created by him, initially intended for parking issues, to other areas also. Then the greatest, the new advantage of video conferencing, this will be very relevant for the legal field. Video conferencing is something like I'll just explain. Like the one which I've just, you have the traffic issues. You have violated the red signal, then you receive a challan. You don't pay the challan, and then your car is seized. Or it's not happening, but they continue to levy the penalties. Sometimes you have a serious grievance of not paying that you have not violated is your case. Now, in the present context, you will have to go to the particular court, and either you pay the fine as demanded, or you will have, if you want to contest, then you will have to fight the case. Now, this can be avoided. In fact, I understand the police department is looking into this aspect. This can be avoided if you have a kind of a video conferencing facility. Say a small example of recent development in United Kingdom. It was a case of a tax violation issue. The person has filed a case before the competent court. The court wanted to adjudicate the issue by introducing the video conferencing facility. In this process, what the person was living was in his home. The officer who filed a complaint against him was sitting in his office. The judge was sitting in his courtroom. Through the video conferencing mode, the proceedings were conducted. It was an experimental basis. About a few months back, this exercise was undertaken in United Kingdom, and then it was successful. They want to continue and then expand it to other areas also. Slowly in India, we are also introducing the video conferencing facility. It would help in matrimonial cases, more particularly in the modern generation. People live in various places. One day they work in Bangalore, other day they go to Delhi. But a case is filed against them in Hyderabad. It's very difficult in the modern days to come over and attend to the case proceedings every time. The video conferencing mode can help that person in attending to the court proceedings, in regarding his own evidence, wherever he is. We have introduced this facility in some cases where people were living outside the country. By extending the facility of video conferencing, the evidence of that person is recorded. Sometime somewhere in South Africa, African country. Sometime in America also, this video conferencing facility was utilized, and video conferencing. It saved a lot of time and money to both. This can be extended to the investigating officers in crimes, can be extended to the medical officers giving evidence in criminal cases, and etc. So the scope of video conferencing is huge in the legal field. The biggest problem is regarding service of notices whenever a case is filed. Now we generally send notices by the registered post because we need to have a proof of the notice being served on the party. We must get back the acknowledgement of service of notice. Most of the time what happens is the address given when the case was filed, the person may not be living in the address given when the case was filed. He may have been shifted to some other place. So the difficulty is to serve notice, and the many cases are pending now because of the non-completion of the process of service of notices itself. In some courts, the system of serving of notices is now implemented by using the speed post facility at the postal department. Now, I ask all the young students and future technocrats to address this issue. That is, can't we have a platform similar to email, where the notices of the courts can be effectively sent and served in a very effective manner, within seconds or few minutes than spending months together and years together in effecting the service of notice. So this is one area for you to think and come out with out-of-the-box ideas. One other major problem is that a person who comes to court, he requires some urgent orders or he requires orders. Communication of orders passed by the court is again a great problem. It takes again a lot of time to communicate the orders. Though we make available the orders the moment it is signed on the website, but sometimes the concerned person would ask for an authenticated copy of the orders. We are trying to work out on giving an authenticated copy of order through our website. So that's a part. There can be some urgent order to be delivered in a particular case, like a person is likely to be arrested. He comes to court asking that I should not be arrested, I should be granted a bail. Court is convinced and the bail is granted. Order copy should reach the person, the police officer, before he is arrested. There is a case of some demolition being taken up by somebody. An urgent order not to demolish is required. Order is granted by the court, but the delivery of order is a problem. So this communication of orders through the electronic mode, through the technology, can be attended to is my personal and opinion. This is for the technocrats to think about and how best we can ensure that by integrating into the legal system, an effective way of an authenticated copy of the orders of the courts can be communicated in an expeditious, speedy manner. Now, as the topic given to me is artificial intelligence, this is nothing but data mining. Now, when we have been talking about the penetration of technology into the legal field, that legal research is being undertaken now in a mechanized manner than physical form, that I search for a word and I get everything on the websites, on our mobile applications. Some kind of an apprehension is raised whether an artificial judge would be replacing the physical form of a judge. Can there be a future artificial judge, an intelligent judge? In this aspect, I wish to share with an important issue that was researched by University College London. It created a software that weighs up legal evidence and moral questions of right and wrong. The software examined data sets of 584 cases relating to torture and degrading treatment presided over by the European Court of Human Rights. Later, the software was put to test on new cases. In each case, the software analyzed the information and made its own judicial decision. In 79% of those assessed, the artificial intelligence verdict was the same as the one delivered by the court. That means it predicted in a given factual situation what can be the judgment ultimately to be delivered by a judge. Now, this research work is expanding in America and other European developed countries. Now, when a litigant goes to the lawyer to consult about a case or grievance he has against a state or against its functionalities or against a private person, it comes before a particular judge or before a particular court. The legal data framework that is available in the European countries and America is such that they will research and place it before the client the possibility of a particular judge giving a decision in a particular manner. This is based on the data mining they do, going to the research into the nature of cases decided by a particular judge on a particular topic and the views he expresses in various cases and then analyzes. This is what was done by the University College of London on an experimental basis with reference to the Human Rights Court. But this is being expanded and is being done in European and American, European countries in America. This is the area where the technocrats like you can still have a place to think and do something for yourself. It will be helping yourself, it will be helping the litigant public also. Now I've just shortlisted what are the advantages and disadvantages before moving to the other aspect. Advantages, according to me, are accuracy and precision, reduction in time and cost. Computers don't have human prejudices, that the computers don't get tired, hungry, or sleepy. Disadvantages, human interactions, which are a key part of lawyering and judging, are extremely difficult to automate. Computers cannot understand the diverse emotional states of human beings, which is an essential part of litigation. According to me, innovation is the key to transform the legal profession. The relation between law and technology intertwined. The future of the litigation process cannot be imagined without the role of technology. The technology will play to shape and enhance its future. Similarly, any discussion on technology is incomplete without considering the legal framework in which it operates. Not surprisingly, technological advancement and innovation have emerged as the two most crucial trends driving change in the legal sector globally. Adoption of transformation and innovation strategies that include not just application of advanced technology in the practice of law, but also the accommodation of legal knowledge and introduction of unique skill sets to keep pace with economic and social changes is only a matter of time. However, use of technology should be within the legal framework, as the foundation of any adjudication is availability of legal evidence. This is what you need to think about when formulating any technical evolution. Advent of technology and its use is also creating problems. A lot of data is now transformed into bytes. The threat of data theft and data corruption is one of the biggest concerns. So on the one hand, when we are moving into the use of technology more and more into our functioning, and we have already into almost 50% of our daily working. I can also share that about 6 months back, we have used the mobile SLAT form application. The judiciary, particularly High Court, is a mini government. So we have a lot of administrative work to do. Several committees are constituted, committees deal with various aspects. Before the committees, sometimes thousands of papers are being placed, circulated to each of the judge. After the meeting is over, we just throw away those papers. So we thought, why not we use the online platforms to save paper. Slack is the platform that we are using now. And in the last 6 months, we have been successfully using Slack. All the material is loaded into the Slack. We download, we open, edit, do everything, and then attend to the meetings. After the meeting is over, the documents can be deleted. At least in the last 6 months, we have saved close to 2 lakh papers, at least rough estimation, which would have been used earlier. So this is helping not only in the using the technology in a better manner, it's also helping in environment, saving the environment by saving a lot of paper. So this is one manner of utilizing the technology I can highlight. Maybe this, whatever I was talking is slightly, as I said, I'm an alien to the technical aspect because on the legal side, most of you are not exposed to the adjudication process. I agreed to come and participate only for this reason, that young minds should also think that there is scope for you to innovate, to experiment, even in the legal field also. And there is a lot more to be done. By using the technology, it helps a proper adjudication, and the technology that you bring also helps you making yourself a better person. Thank you so much.
It's always a proud moment for any parent to be at a place where their children are doing good. And I think here there's a big round of applause that we need for Manoj's father, who's going to present a memento to the justice. So maybe please. As a parent, it's always a proud moment when they see their children doing well, and I'm sure it's a proud moment for Manoj as well and for all of us. Thank you, sir.